Hi, welcome back to another episode of Can I Get a Minute podcast with Christine and Jazmyn.
Hey, you guys.
On this episode, we'll be speaking about Jazmyn's experience giving birth to a child with anencephaly and exactly what it is. Before we dive into it today, we would like to share how our Mother's Day was and a little bit about our week, and then we could start talking about anencephaly and Jazmyn's experience. So Jazmyn, you want to start off or do you want me to start off?
I guess I can start off. You want to talk about Mother's Day first,
Yeah,
I guess?
Let's talk about Mother's Day.
So my Mother's Day was actually really nice. My husband literally did everything for me, like took care of the kids, gave them showers, he made me breakfast, he
Cooked for you too.
And he cooked dinner for me, which that was
First time,
yes. It was the first time, and he did an awesome job. He did pasta with pesto sauce, salmon with capers, onions, mushrooms, and with lemon seasoning. And he did garlic bread, also with asparagus. He did do an appetizer. He made homemade mozzarella. I guess you can say circles patties. It wasn't like the sticks.
the mozzarella sticks. They were just more mozzarella patties.
Yeah. So he did that, and he also did like a little platter, like a cheese platter with like grapes and prosciutto and cheese, and we had it with some wine. I had, because I love rosé, but this was like a new type of rosé, which was Pulse. It's called Pulse, and it's grapefruit flavor rosé. It's so good.
Where is it from?
It's ABC Liquor.
ABC Liquor. Okay. Well, I just recently went back to Aldi, and I was like, let me just try something. So
Yeah.
I got the winking owl.
Okay,
Have you heard of it?
Yeah,
They have like a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
Anything crazy about the kids this year?
Well, Christian did have speech therapy this morning. His favorite line is "oh,"
And then the S word.
and the S word. I'm trying to get him not to say that. So like I'm just ignoring him. Because the speech therapist said ignore him because like that's part of like bad behavior. You don't want him to just keep doing it because he's just trying to get a reaction out of you. I can't even say no to him because if I say no to him, I'm showing him that I am responding to the behavior.
Like it's bothering you.
Yes. Then Mother's Day, back to Mother's Day. So he cooked me dinner. He did everything. He picked with the kitchen.
Isn't that sexy when they do all that? It's like, thank you. You finally got it.
And like this was his first time cooking. And he did an awesome job.
I know you were sending me like step-by-step pictures.
Yeah, he was doing amazing. I was really proud of him. And
was he happy?
He just doesn't know. This was like kind of like a setup. So now that I know he knows how to cook, he's going to be cooking more when he's off, like on the weekends and stuff.
Yeah, give him a recipe.
Yeah, so he can follow it. I have faith.
I know he was happy.
Yeah, he was happy. He said, this is
my husband was making jokes like if it doesn't taste good, make sure you have the Pepto right next to you.
Yeah. That was your husband or that was Dad? I think that was Dad that said that. That was Dad.
I think Dad said it, but I think Ivan was like making jokes too.
Oh, yeah. My dad texted me saying that. So, because everyone knows he doesn't know how to cook, and he finally did it.
This is a big milestone.
Yeah, because we've been together for like 8 years. So it's something. After 8 years,
he decides, that's
so it was really nice. It was nice being able just to chill, not worrying about the kids. He was worrying about the kids, and then he knew how my day is like during the week, like when he's at work, and I have to
you had him multitask and everything.
So he had to like cook, clean, and take care of the kids. So he was like, "Oh wow, it's not as easy as I thought it was."
Yeah. Okay, so we'll do it I'm going to be real short.
So let's talk about your Mother's Day real quick.
Yeah. So my Mother's Day was good. It was great, actually. So we started off, we went to breakfast really early at this like mom and pop shop right next to where we live.
And what is it called?
Sweet Mamas.
Sweet Mamas, okay.
And the prices are good. They cook good. So it was our first time taking my in-laws, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law to the place.
Did they enjoy it?
Oh yeah, they enjoyed it. They loved it. And then
That's
my
good.
sister-in-law came with her husband, and then his uncle, my husband's uncle, and his daughter came.
Oh, that's nice.
So it was really nice. So we got there at 7:30. It wasn't the greatest time. I know everybody was like not having it. They were like, couldn't we sleep in? I'm like, no, I'm sorry. So we didn't sleep in.
That's super early. That's
I know.
right when I'm waking up. Like,
well, we wake up early in our house. So the kids were like, my oldest was like, can I have a breakfast before breakfast? You know, because I can't eat you're depriving me. So yeah. So we went there. We had a good time. We left around 8:30ish, 9:00, and then we went home. I took a nap with the kids, and then my in-laws took the two oldest, the girls, to go swimming, and then I stood home with my husband and the baby, and he cooked. He did like a stuffed salmon with like crab meat, and then we did like mussels, and he also did like,
which that's really nice because he doesn't
ravioli.
eat seafood.
Yeah,
right?
he doesn't. He's not a seafood person at all. Not at all.
What did he end up eating?
He made these meatballs that were really good, and then he made some pasta. It was delicious. He really likes to throw down. So that was nice.
That was nice.
The kids, they were good that day. We got them back later on, like they left around 1, and we got them back around 5. So it was nice to enjoy some peace and quiet, no fighting, because they always fight, and they actually did really good. With my in-laws, they actually behaved really good, because I was so scared that I would get a call in the middle of them hanging out. So as for my kids this week, I had a dentist appointment. I went with all 3 of them. And of course, the middle child is always the one with the most drama. So it was her turn to get her teeth brushed by the dental assistant, and the other one was getting x-rays done. And so when she's getting x-rays done, the middle child, which is Zoey, was supposed to sit down, lay down, and get her teeth brushed. She got out of it by saying that she was not finished with her snack, which was a goldfish. So then the lady was like, okay, that's fine, being nice to her. The dentist is not a place where Zoey likes to go. Right off the bat. I have to drag her. She doesn't like doctors. She doesn't like dentists. She'd rather just stay outside. So they're waiting for her. She's taking her sweet time. She's introducing her brother, how that she's a big sister. She loves being a sister. I mean, she went into details about everything, about her whole life, how her grandfather has a boo-boo and he just had surgery. I mean, like, she will tell you her whole life story to avoid doing what she wants to do. That being said, her sister finishes with x-rays. So then she's like, oh, I'll go first. So she sits down. Zoey holds her hand, says, you need to be a brave little girl. You need to behave, because Zoey, she's 3 years old, but she acts like she's an old lady. Okay. Mm-hmm. So finally, Chloe did a good job. She gets out of the seat, and then it's Zoey's turn. And Zoey's like, no, I'm okay. I'd rather just go home. Nice try, but no, I'm not going. So then they're like, okay, well then, Zoey, we'll just take you to a private room. Because at this time she's crying. She's like, I'm leaving. I'm out the door. Like, there's no way of stopping me. So they're like, look, we'll go to a special room. She's like, no. And then at first they're like, okay, let's go. So I had to sit down for the very first time, lay down on the chair with her, and I had to hold her down. And I was just I was just like, Zoey, you're better than this. So she was crying, but finally we got it done. Most of the time we're there and we're out by 15, 20 minutes the most. But this time, I guess because they had called us to come in a week earlier than our appointment, they had us waiting for an hour and a half. So like during that hour and a half, they never communicated that the dentist was busy in treatment. So I come out after 30 minutes in the room and was like, hey, what's going on? It's like, oh, she's backed up. So I'm like, oh, why couldn't you communicate this earlier? So I'm in a room with two kids that are hungry. The baby's about to, like, it's nap time. So I was going crazy. And then I called my husband. I'm like, I'm going crazy. Like, these kids need to eat. It's their nap time. Like, it's time to go.
I know Zoey came over the next day because we had like a little play date with her and Christian. And I asked her how the dentist went. And she was like, it was horrible. Like,
Yeah.
she dragged the word horrible.
Yeah. And so I called my husband. He's like, do you want me to come? I'm like, no, because you're working. That's not right. And so after that, I felt so beat up. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to cook. I know we went out to eat that day. I was just, I'm tired. Like, I am drained myself. They were like, for the time being there, they weren't bad or anything. And I understand that they were like really tired. So at that point, I was just like, if they do misbehave, it's not on them. It's like the lack of communication. Like, they're hungry, they're tired. So my husband felt so bad for me. He's like, no, don't worry about eating, like making food. We're going to go out. Like, and that was nice. So
I know usually when kids are tired, they just act up. That's just how they are.
Yeah, we went to Coverts, and if you sign up for their club, like to get newsletters through emails, you do get coupons. So my husband signed up and we were able to get buy one, get one free for us.
Oh, that's nice.
That's something good to know. I mean,
yeah, Christian's obsessed with Culver's. He doesn't like any fast food but Culver's.
Baby Christian.
Yeah, that's baby Christian, actually.
And
he's really picky.
If you do subscribe to your local newspaper on Thursdays, I know here in Florida, they sent out like a Thursday newspaper, and also on Sunday you might get it, but usually on Thursdays they sent over in the newspaper a insert for like food. It'll be sometimes Wendy's, it could be Steak and Shake, or it could be Covert. So just always keep a lookout because those come in handy when you don't want to cook.
I know I mentioned that we had like a little play date. You know, Christian was not behaving very nice.
Which I was surprised because he's my baby. And so I was like, and he's Titi's like, you know,
so
my number one baby boy, you know, so.
He was not very nice to Zoey. And usually Zoey is like the type that will like crack the whip on him. And she's only 3 and he's going to be 2 this weekend. So
and they're like heavy. They're the same weight kind of.
Yeah. So, you know, you probably noticed on our Instagram, that she was trying to like take him out of the high chair. So, you know, that's where she was acting like a little big girl. And
she's like a little old lady. Like, when she's around, she wants to help. She wants to be the one that, not so bossy, but she thinks she's an adult.
Yeah. So then, like, Christian, you know, lately he hasn't been liking to share with his toys. Mm-mm. Like, the terrible 2 is like really like it started before he was 2. Like, just. And he's like hitting her, and I'm telling him no, and like he's throwing toys at her, but like heavy toys. Like, I feel really bad for Zoey, and I'm like, Zoey, move, like get out of his way, he's gonna hit you. And I'm like, come on, we have to like move from him. And she's just like, you know, no, like he's like a baby, and like no, like he's not like a baby anymore. He's like your size, girl.
Yeah,
like,
and I didn't believe it, so I left Zoey here because Jazz was like, oh, they need to spend some time, they're cousins. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So I bought Zoey over, I did some groceries, I come back and like, there's 3 videos like through text. And she's like, did you see the videos? I'm like, no, I didn't see any videos. She's like, oh, the videos I sent you with them fighting. I'm like, and then I look at them, it's not really fighting. It's more like your son's attacking my child.
Yeah. And I was just like, I had to like put him in timeout. I had to give him a pop-out. Like, he was just he did not care. He was just, his little attitude.
That's the terrible 2s.
Yeah, his attitude was out.
So that was our week. That was our Mother's Day. Let's talk about Anencephaly. Is that right?
Yeah, Anencephaly, yeah.
Okay, so do you want to give us your story?
Sure. So I want to say it was in 2015.
14.
It was in 2014?
Yeah, we were all pregnant.
It was in 2014.
And I had Zoey at September, and you had...
Hold on, wait. I got pregnant with Christian in 2015, delivered in 2006. So yeah, 2014. It was 2014. It was before baby Christian. I got pregnant, and I want to say I found out I was pregnant in July. So July, August, September. Yes, it was in July. And I was actually going to my 3-month checkup.
Yeah.
And my 3-month checkup, they do like an ultrasound, and I was there with Christian. Actually, Christian was not going to go with me to this 3-month checkup because before every checkup I went to,
your husband.
Yes, my husband. Every checkup I went to before that everything was like good, like perfect. Everything on the ultrasounds were coming out good. My blood work was coming out good. And so he was like, in the morning, he was like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to go. But then like, for some reason, he was like, you know what? Let me go with you. And I said, okay, yeah, come with me. So then he ended up coming with me, which was good that he did come with me. Because when we went, so like when you go to, our not pediatrician, our OBGYN, she, actually, we do the ultrasound first, and then she will come and check it. And then she'll tell us if there was like anything wrong, or, how the baby's growing, the length, the weight. And so, so we could just get an idea of how the pregnancy is going. So, that day when we went and got the ultrasound, and the lady that was doing the ultrasound, she was like talking at first a lot. And so then she kept looking at the ultrasound, the pictures like on the computer, and she was like noticing how the baby was moving. So the baby was on his or her back. They usually say like most of the time it could be like a girl that anencephaly's in, affects. It's more in baby girls than baby boys.
And also it affects Hispanics.
Yeah, and it affects Hispanic women more than any other
race.
So, like we were there, the baby was moving on his or her back. And it was moving like a worm. So like that was like one sign like that there was something wrong, but I didn't think anything. So I was like, oh my God, like look at the baby.
Right. This is your first pregnancy.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, look at the baby. The baby's moving. And Christian's like, yeah. And then the lady was just like, she just got like really serious. Like she wasn't really talking. So then
the ultrasound, the tech.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you could tell that's when you notice like something was wrong. Well, I didn't really pick up on it. My husband did. And then she was like looking at the head because that's where you can see if, so anencephaly affects the head, the brain, and the neural tubes that connect to the head. So she was looking at it. I still didn't notice anything. I felt like maybe everything was normal, and I'm still talking to my husband like, oh my God, look at the baby, So then she's like, okay, well, give me a second. I'll be right back. I got to go speak to a doctor. And usually when they do the ultrasound, they don't do that. They just take the pictures of the ultrasound, leave it in the computer. They'll be like, go back to the waiting room. Mm-hmm. And then the doctor will call you to come back. So she didn't do that. What she did was just like, okay, hold on right here. I'll be right back. Right. And then I was just talking to Christian, like nothing, still not thinking anything. And then the doctor was looking at the pictures, and she actually didn't come into the room. The tech told us to go back out. And after she came back from talking to the doctor, and that's when she was like, go to the waiting room. The doctor called me back, and the doctor was like, telling us like, I have some, bad news. And that's when she was explaining what anencephaly was to us and how the neural tube didn't close properly. And it's usually on the 23rd day to the 26th day of being pregnant, and how that didn't close properly. So it affected the brain, which the brain didn't develop properly. And so really what it is that the brain, there's like less than half or half of the brain there. So the baby, if I like carried it to full term, the baby would be like brain dead. It wouldn't be able to see. And like during birth, it wouldn't survive. So like you'd be delivering a baby that's dead. Some babies survive. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, they survive and they'll probably just like last 1 day or 2 days. They can last up to like 48 hours, they say. So, but to put a baby through that, I feel like it's terrible for someone to feel pain that way, because when you deliver it, the brain is outside of the body. Half of the brain.
Yeah.
So pretty much like the doctor was talking to me and was like, the best thing, they can't tell you what to do. They can just give you their opinion. And I asked them for their opinion, and they were telling me, and I was like, just give me your advice. Like, what do you think I should do? Or what do you think is the best bet? Because she was telling me that the baby is not going to survive. Like, there's no chance of the baby going to survive because there's no brain, pretty much. And so, I'm the type of person, like, you tell me something, I get straight to it and I do it right away. And yeah, I thought about it, but we actually had to terminate the pregnancy, which I know, there's a lot of people that's against that. There's a lot of people that are okay with that. But like, for me, I can't see myself delivering a baby. Well, I actually had to deliver it still. Like, even though when I terminated the pregnancy, they don't do it's not an abortion, because an abortion, you wouldn't deliver it. They actually have you go to a hospital, induce you, and you deliver it, because the baby was already dead. The baby was brain dead already. So I did that after the 3 months, and because for you to have an abortion, they said it would have to be before, I guess, a certain amount of weeks, which would be before the 3rd month, and I was already past that 3rd month, so I wasn't going to be having an abortion. It was just a termination, which I just deliver the baby, and the baby is already, they can tell because they did like blood tests and ultrasounds, and they made sure.
You had to go to a specialist.
I had to go to a specialist. So before I terminated the pregnancy, I went to a specialist, which was one of the best hospitals in Florida, which is Winnie Palmer. And they actually told me that, yeah, pretty much like the baby is not going to live at all. So, yeah.
There is nothing
there's nothing you really can do. There's nothing I can do, even if I carried it to 10 for 10 months, because usually they say it's 9 months, but it's really 10 months because they really can't tell you the exact date that you got pregnant. So it's really 10 months you're carrying the baby for.
And it was your first pregnancy.
And it was my first pregnancy. And they said you can try to carry the baby up to 10 months. It's your decision, but the baby can
pretty much die anytime.
Die anytime inside of you, and it could, be harmful to you, and and get you sick. So then that's when me and my husband actually went home first, discussed it, decided what we were going to do. Then we moved forward and we decided to do the termination, which they check you into a hospital the same way as you're going to deliver a baby, and then they just induce you. So we were there for like 5 days, I would say. It's in the hospital.
It took you a long time.
It takes a long time, yeah.
I know that when everything happened, you had called me when you were on the sonogram and the news broke.
Yeah.
And I was like, because it was, we come from four sisters, it's 4 of us, and 3 of us were pregnant, including Jazmyn, at the same time.
Yeah, all 3 of us were pregnant, yeah.
So at that time, I was the first one to give birth. I gave birth September. Then the news broke like the end of September. And then I had my other sister, she gave birth in January. So, and then if everything had went well with Jazmyn's pregnancy, she would have given birth like months after that, because we were like,
she did
May.
September,
it would have been in May still, because we were all 4 months apart.
Yeah.
So that being said, I know you gave me the news, and I'm hormonal, and I started just I was like trying to hold back my tears, and I was like crying, and Jazmyn's like, it's gonna be okay. And I'm like, how can you, like, Jazmyn was acting more brave than I was. Like, you know, like when somebody breaks that type of news, you're trying to be so strong for them that you don't want to cry. But I couldn't help but cry because to me, all I was thinking was like, I know Jazmyn's such a good person. Her husband's such, like, why would this happen to them, this first pregnancy, you know? So
Yeah, I actually, when we got the news,
it didn't really hit you. Like, I felt like
it didn't really affect me like it affected my husband. It did affect me when I had to deliver it. It did affect my husband right when we got the news, because he was actually, I was more
I think in shock, because I mean everybody.
Yeah, but I had more anxiety when I found out I was pregnant, because I was like, damn, like, you know, I wasn't really that young when I got pregnant, because I was 27, but I still felt so young. So I felt like, you know, when you find out you're pregnant for the first time, it's like very scary. So I was more scared and so then I started getting excited, and then that's when the news happened that the baby had anencephaly. And Christian was excited from the very beginning. He was just extremely excited. So when we went to doctors that day, and he started tearing up and started, like, you know, he was really upset. He took it really hard. So I was actually trying to be strong for him, and just
for everybody,
for pretty much for everyone. Everyone took it really hard.
Family.
I took it hard. Don't get me wrong, but I cope differently than, I guess you can say, than other people. I guess I'm more to myself. Like, I'm more like, I don't really show. People say I'm kind of like cold-hearted, but I'm not. I'm not cold-hearted. It's just I don't show my feelings to people. And even my sisters say I'm kind of like, it seems like I'm cold-hearted, or I come off strong, or that's just,
you're right to the point. You're like, there's no sugarcoating it.
So, and that's not like doesn't mean I didn't feel a way. Like, I was really sad about it. I was upset about it, but
I think
just
you were in shock.
Show it. And yeah, I was in shock too, but I'm more of a private person.
I know that it didn't really hit you, like, even through the hospital stay. I think when you delivered and you actually, you know, because you did hold the baby.
Yes, I did. Yes.
At first, you didn't want anything. You were just like, I want to deliver, and I don't want to.
Yeah. So they gave you, okay, so when you deliver the baby, they give you an option if you want to hold the baby, if you want to see the baby. So you can say that's where I started taking it kind of hard, because they're like, you know, what do you want to do? Like, you have to decide, like, you know, are you gonna donate the baby, like donate the like organs of the baby, or, you know, what are you gonna do? And then, are you going to do a burial? Are you going to bury the baby? Are you going to just, you know, give it to the hospital? And I'm just like, I was in shock. So I didn't even know, like, what's, like, they ask you all those questions, and you're just like, I don't know. Like, I have to think about it. And then, so while I was there in the hospital, that's when I decided, like, in the beginning, I was like, no, I don't want to see the baby. I don't want to hold the baby. Don't cry, Christy.
No, I get a little choked up because I know how it affected you in the beginning.
So then, Christy's about to cry right now.
I'm very mopey when it comes to stuff. Like, I just know that when everything happened, I know you were very in shock. I know it hit you when the baby was, like, actually there. You're holding it, and then I think a couple of days later,
it was a couple of days later when I started crying. Like, even when I held the baby, I didn't even cry. Like, it was like, I was more like in shock than anything, like, because everything happened so fast. Like, I guess that's how I move. I move, like, I guess, fast with things. Right. So, like, I guess that's the way I cope with stuff.
Yeah, it's your way of, like, okay, it's over.
Adapting.
Like it's over and done.
I adapt to things quick, and I move on. So, I guess that could be a good thing. That could be a bad thing. But so then afterwards, when I actually got home, and I was like, oh shit, like, I didn't come home with a baby.
Sorry for the language, but
sorry, excuse me. So I was like, oh, you know, I didn't come home with the baby. That
like you went in and you didn't come back with your, like, your special gift, like your,
so
like a baby in your hand.
What they give you is like, so they gave me like a box with the baby's hat, the baby's handprints,
right,
and footprints. So they were saying that it was most likely a boy, because the way I guess the baby was so big at 3 months, like,
yeah, it was going to be a big baby, they said.
Yeah, and it looked like it was going to be a boy, they said. But so my husband actually in the hospital he took it really hard after I delivered. They were like, do you want to hold the baby? So he actually held the baby. He went into the bathroom and he actually started crying. And
once again, you were being strong, because you really,
it was just more like I was in shock. Like, so he was holding the baby. He was actually crying in the bathroom and he prayed. And
did you name the baby?
No, I actually did not name the baby. No.
And then
no, because I didn't name the baby, because the name I had, right, was Christian's name, which was Christian. I already had Christian Alexander Rosado. So that was going to be the baby's name. So I was like, since I wasn't able to use that name, I'm going to name Christian Alexander Rosado, the baby that I have now, which is the 2-year-old.
I thought you had came up with Angel.
I didn't. My mom did, but that's not something that I
wanted. Yeah, it was not official.
It wasn't official. It wasn't something that I chose. That's how I feel. And that's something else I would probably get into later on, but that's not now. But yeah, that's something like, when you're in shock and stuff, you just let people do stuff for you.
Yeah.
And you just let them just be like, yeah, you're just like, yeah, whatever, like do whatever. Yeah. Because you just want to get over and done with. But me specifically, that's not a name I would have chose. Like, right. That's not a name I like.
Right.
So, but yeah, after that, it shows you how,
I know you wanted afterwards, were like, I'm just not wanting kids anymore. I know that when I would see you, I would be like wanting to cry and to like, I felt so bad for you. And then I was like, I hope this experience doesn't like make
honestly,
it where...
I didn't want to have kids. But then
you got pregnant by accident again
from Christian again. Lord Jesus. No, but you know what?
And you
kids are a blessing. Like, honestly,
no, it was
kids
funny.
Are a blessing.
You were like,
I learned that now, because before I was just so like, I don't want to go through something like that. I don't want to, because like, okay, for the doctor said like, it's not something genetics. It's something that it could be later on prevented. It happens. Which is good. Yeah, it happens in like 1 out of 1,000 pregnancies.
And there's no family history, so.
There's no family history, no. So the reason why it happened to me, and it could be different for everybody else, but I don't produce enough folic acid. So, before getting pregnant, I just had to just be on, like, just in case I did get pregnant, I would always have to be on,
folic acid
and prenatal pills. But then once I found out I was pregnant, I have to be just prescribed folic acid through the pharmacy, because it's like such a high amount to prevent it.
I know, as your sister, I was nervous. I was like, oh my goodness, like take your pills, because accidents do happen. I know you don't want any more kids. I mean, like, she was just like on that, I don't want kids. I don't, and that, from what she experienced, I mean, I totally understood her. But like, I was so nervous and I was so scared that like, I don't want this to like mess up anything that later on her dreams, because, she had one bad experience that she doesn't want to have any more kids. Thank God she got pregnant like a year later. And I was so happy. I was like, so happy. I didn't want to show her how happy I was, because I was scared that something like this was going to happen. Like, throughout her pregnancy, I was like, are you taking your pills? Are you going to your sonograms? Are you doing, I was like her second husband. Like, I was on it with her.
Yeah.
I was like, do you want me to go with you? Like,
yeah, no. So with my second pregnancy, I had to take,
So is there can it happen again? Is there like a recurrence? Is there?
No, well, it could happen again, but the chances are so low that it's not going to happen. I just have to be prepared, but there's not going to be a next time because my husband did get a vasectomy. So there's not going to be any more kids.
With your second pregnancy with baby Christian, were you considered like a high risk?
Yes, I was considered high risk just because of the anencephaly, but also I have thyroid. So with the thyroid, I was considered.
And what kind of thyroid problems do you have? Is it like hypo or hyper?
It's hyper, so it's considered like Graves' disease. So
you have to monitor it.
Yeah, but right now it's leveled, so they took me off like the medication and stuff like that. So I'm actually okay now with my thyroid.
So baby Christian, you were considered high risk. Now that birth came out fine, and so were you considered high risk with baby Jax?
I was considered high risk for all my pregnancies just because of I can't produce enough folic acid, so they just have to prescribe me folic acid. And then they would just monitor me like on stress
tests,
to make sure that the babies weren't stressed out, and just monitoring my thyroid. And I actually was getting a genetics testing through blood work, which they can detect. And also, that's what I did for the first pregnancy too. After they saw on the ultrasound, they wanted to make sure that it was anencephaly. So what they do is draw your blood. They send it to a facility that does the genetic testing, and then they'll tell you like, oh, if you're having a boy or girl, and so then with baby Christian. Actually, I think I was like only like 3 months, or maybe
you were 11 weeks to be exact. You were like
baby Christian?
Baby Christian 9 to 10 weeks. You were like 10 or 11 weeks because I know you received what you were having.
I found out right away. Like yes,
with the genetic testing.
With the genetic testing, like with Christian, I found out literally like right away, like super early. Like they'll ask you like, do you know? I actually didn't even want to know. I wanted to know in the office, and they were like, okay, well, do you want to know what he is? And I'm like, you just told me, do you want to know what he is? Like, so it was I had a boy, which that was the first boy of our family because it's all girls, which that was really exciting after like the experience I went through before.
Yeah, it was like 3 girls before that. He was the first boy. He was like spoiled.
Yeah, super spoiled. And he's so spoiled that now we have like a speech delay because everything is like...
You mean like
given to him.
Right. Like he doesn't work for anything.
He does not work for anything. And now it's like, now we're paying the price for that.
Is there anything that women can do to prevent this?
Yeah. I would say go to your doctors, start taking folic acid early, and
during your prime time, because isn't it like between 20 and 40 where you're
before you even getting pregnant, like you're supposed to take folic acid and just an extra amount, like just a separate because your prenatals give you folic acid, but just some more folic acid over the counter will help too, to prevent it.
What would you do? What would you like tell women that are going through this or have to make this big decision? Like,
I would say it's not an easy decision. It's something that it's hard, but you just have to think like you're not the only one that's going through this, that other women are going through this, and other like couples are going through this. And this is something that, later on, if this happens in your pregnancy now, that's okay. But later on, it's something that you can try to prevent by taking just the right amount of folic acid. And I would just say like, don't let this discourage you in this pregnancy, because now, if I did let that discourage me from getting pregnant again, I wouldn't be able to have these 2 beautiful little boys that I have now, which they're pretty awesome.
Were you scared during your any other pregnancies, like with baby?
With baby Christian, I was really scared, just because, I got pregnant right after that situation, and you know, a lot goes through your minds. Like I didn't tell anybody except my family. Like I didn't tell any friends. I don't think I told anybody until like I was showing, which was like a long time, like 5 or 6 months, I would say.
What do you mean? Like
I told the family, but I didn't tell anybody. Like
baby
at work,
Christian
yeah, about work,
afterwards?
yeah. I didn't tell anybody at work or anything like 5 or 6 months after.
Yeah,
because I wasn't showing, and I was able to like cover it.
Yeah, I'm with
so then I wanted to make sure everything was okay too before I told anybody. So I really didn't mention it until I found out everything was okay with the baby and he was going to be healthy. And like with the genetics testing, what's nice about that is that they can tell you everything that's going to be wrong with him. So if there was going to,
or if any diseases or
illnesses. Any diseases or illnesses, or like if he was gonna have if he was gonna have Down syndrome, anything like that. So which was nice that, you know, with this whole testing, getting this test done, I wish I knew the name of the test, so then I could have just told you what kind of test it was that they offer at the doctor's office at the OBGYN. I can't even remember.
But not all insurances pay
no,
for it.
all insurances do not cover it. So they
And
can
it can be
offer,
pricey.
Yeah, it could be $1,000.
Yeah, so it is pricey. So.
It is very pricey. And at first we thought we were gonna have to pay out of pocket for it, because when they sent us the bill, they sent us the bill saying like, oh, you're gonna have to pay $1,000, and we're like, oh my god, for that one test. But then come to find out, my OBGYN was able to call them and let them know I am high risk. Therefore, I was able to get that taken care of. Like they paid for it.
And what did you learn from the experience, like going through all this? I know.
Nothing. No, I'm just okay. No, I just learned, like, you know, you just can't be, I guess, scared to be pregnant again. And, you know, what's meant to happen is going to happen. And I just leave it in God's hands. And I got 2 baby boys that are awesome now out of it. So, you know.
And what I learned is that you were really strong. I don't know if I could have done it the way.
Yeah, I did notice that I was really strong, but I've been like really strong for a lot of things.
So okay, I know that. Let's do something a little different now. Are we? We're gonna shift to our weekly topic. Yeah. Weekly topics. I know that was kind of like
very emotional. I know it's sad.
It was a great story.
Christine, you know, I wasn't crying here because I know how to deal with that kind of stuff, and I've been through it already. But Christine is very emotional.
Yeah, I'm more into like, okay, let's shift it. Let's be a little bit more happy. You know, I'm not saying that that's not a happy story, but you know,
there was definitely a happy ending in the sense that I did get 2 baby boys that are healthy now, and
yeah, it's just, I think about it, and it's just like how it happened. I know that now you have the 2 boys, but it's just like, it was sad at the time. So, and you know, as a sister who sees her sister going through that and like just had a baby, it's very hard to like not want her to want to share that experience of like, hey, we're pregnant together, you know, like, you know, it was just a time where I wanted her to experience the same thing I was going through. So like to see her going through that, it was just very hard for me. And so I'm so glad that at the end she had 2 baby boys and they were beautiful. But as a sister, you know, you just want to take that pain away from her. But you know, things happen, and I'm just so glad that she's strong enough to get through it. As we shift back to our weekly topics of, you know, Bravo shows and pop culture, as you know, Bravo shows right now are kind of like
they're like ending. So everything's like they're ending all at the same time. So like we're like pretty much like waiting for the new seasons
of like, I think Jersey's coming back, and then I think Orange County.
I'm looking forward to Orange County and not so crazy about Jersey.
Okay, so talking about Jersey.
Yeah.
Oh, it's raining. Talking about Jersey. So Danielle got married in the Bahamas.
Oh, that's nice.
I think you know, this past weekend, Mother's Day weekend, I think, or the weekend before.
I think it was the weekend before.
She looked beautiful. She had the new New Jersey housewife, which was Margaret as one of her.
I like Margaret. I actually really like Margaret.
I like Margaret. She was one of the bridesmaids. Teresa and then Melissa.
Melissa,
Yeah, they were bridesmaids.
Which I'm actually really surprised that she had Teresa, Melissa, and Margaret. Which I'm like, wow, you know, she pretty much just like met Melissa, right, recently through Teresa.
Who's to say? Like, yeah, but I mean,
and then Margaret
they record the season like within 2 years or something. Like the season,
a year, I think.
Yeah, so like they probably been friends for like 2. So
yeah,
I could see that happening. Southern Charm, Kathryn and Thomas. They were like
flirting.
I don't like him. I just
why?
Don't like him.
I don't really like him either. But why don't you like him?
I don't like him because he's disrespectful. Like the way he treats his girlfriend Ashley now.
He's not really into Ashley, I can tell. Like he's just Ashley's there. Like he seems like annoyed with Ashley. Like it's like he's settling for Ashley since he can't have Kathryn.
And like I see Kathryn, like she's like doing so good. And I feel like I'm so glad that she sees how he truly is. I know that she loves him, but I feel like I'm glad she's opening her eyes. Like I went through the same thing with him.
But I'm looking forward to next episode because Kathryn looks like she wants to get back with him. They could portray that, but doesn't mean that's really gonna.
Yeah, I hope not. Naomie apologizes to Peyton, which it was nice. It was nice. And then there was like that big opening for her father's restaurant.
Which that seems like it's nice. It looks like
that looked nice. And then
what is she, French?
Yes, she's French.
She's French. Mm-hmm.
New York Housewives of New York. Sonja's house was
oh my God, Sonja's house is a hot mess. Like that.
But they did good.
Well, photography, yeah, the photos came out really nice. But her house, she is a mess. That girl is a mess. She's a mess in real life and a mess in her house. Sorry, Sonja. I like you and everything, but you are a mess. Yeah, and then what she say? She asked a photographer are you bisexual? What about if I buy you something? Will you get sexual? That was hilarious.
that was hilarious.
She goes, no, you're bisexual. No, wait. She's like, no, you're gay. And he's getting all red and like all embarrassed. Like you're putting me on the spot right now.
Yeah, like that's my sexuality. Dorinda, she got a little tipsy.
Yeah, drunk. I felt like maybe, okay. So I don't really think Bethany came out too hard on her.
I couldn't see it. I like fast forward. I was like, Dorinda, no, girl.
Dorinda is like, she shouldn't, if she can't handle her liquor, and I'm not saying she's an alcoholic because, I don't know her. I just see what I see on TV. But
yeah, it could be editing too.
I feel like if you can't handle your liquor, girl, just don't do it. And, I feel like right now she's probably drinking more because she's like reminiscing in the memories that she had with her husband. I mean, I was like really in love with him. She was like really, and that's really the thing.
Like it's hard. Like I don't know. I've never like lost a significant other, but the way she talks about him and the way she loves him, like it kind of hurts my feelings that she's like going through that. I feel so bad for her. Like
yeah, I feel really bad for her too.
I feel like even if it's like 5 or 6 years, like. That's like a love there.
It's something you're not going to get over. I feel like especially if you felt like that was your soulmate, and it seems like that's what she had with him, like that was her soulmate.
Like she's like going through it, and I feel like
there'll probably be good times, bad times. There's going to be things that remind you of that person, and I guess
I think that's what happened with Bethany. Like there were certain things that reminded, and she says it was a trigger, and people are so quick to like label her or, not be sympathetic or like get over it because it's like 5, 6 years. I don't know. It could be 10 years. And like, who are they to like, like she says, I miss being a wife. I miss being a mother. Like
she's used to doing that. And I understand where she's coming from because I guess like if a situation like that happened to me and I was an older woman, I would miss being a wife and I would miss having my kids all around me because that's something you're used
like
to.
Being wanted, like, or being like, because she seems like such a good person. Like,
she seems really nice.
And Bethany's been like sweet. And I know people are like, oh, Bethany does it for, I guess, attention, or she's trying to make it seem.
She actually wasn't like that bad on her in the sense. Like usually, I think
she did really good. Like she was very sympathetic to her.
Yeah, I feel like Bethany usually like would be like, get out,
And it's embarrassing too for her. Like,
Yeah.
I felt bad. Like, it was embarrassing. I know that, you know,
people don't know Dorinda, I guess, who are at that meeting, and Bethany kind of had to like explain. So I guess it just was a little hard on Bethany too.
Okay, so did you watch The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills?
Beverly Hills. Wait, what? That's already ended.
No, there was like a third episode of the reunion, or
what was it about?
Third part of the reunion.
Oh, and they like
I mean, to tell you the truth, I didn't watch the whole thing. I just had to it was not entertaining. So what I was told, or I mean, like what I seen is, I think Wendy Williams touched on this, but that Erika Jayne is supposedly leaving the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And like, I feel like with this season, she's been like a mean girl. Like, I really
like Erika Jayne, right?
Or Erika
Jayne.
I think that's her stage name, but
I feel like she should leave the Housewives. I really do. I don't like her anymore.
I liked her snotty.
I really liked her before because she seemed humble, but now
so sweet
and so nice. And now, like, the calls are out. Like, she is like very rude, stuck up. Like, she doesn't seem like
I love Kyle.
Sincere anymore.
I love Kyle.
I do too. I feel bad for Kyle.
I do too.
I like Kyle, but I feel bad for her because people be trying her. Like that, what's her name? Dorit? I really do not like Dorit.
I love Kyle. I think Kyle's like so sweet. I feel bad for her family dynamics because it sucks. Like, I don't know how I would feel if my sisters wouldn't talk to me. And
none of her sisters talk to her?
She only has 2, and they're like not talking to her. And I feel really bad because like you could tell it affects her.
Yeah.
So that being said, I watched also Vanderpump.
I did like Vanderpump. Jax.
When he went in on Sheena. Yeah.
I felt bad for him in the sense when his father passed away,
mm-hmm.
but he's still a womanizer. So I really am not crazy about him. But
I feel bad
for him for his father passing away.
Yeah, I did too. I felt really bad. Okay, so in pop culture, the only thing I could think of or see, I mean, Cardi B went in. Well, she actually had a fight with Azealia Banks. I think that's her name.
Okay.
But Azealia Banks, she gets in fights with everybody. So
yeah.
I mean, and I felt bad because Cardi B is like, know, she's pregnant. She doesn't need the stress. I wouldn't have entertained Azealia Banks. I mean, she's on top of the world right now. And Cardi B has a lot of haters. And I feel like, why are you guys hating? I mean, I'm pregnant. I don't want, and then people are like, oh, there's a video of her not like giving autographs. I'm like, I'm pregnant. I'm sorry. Even if you're a celebrity, you don't have to give autographs. Okay. It's not obligated. But on top of that, she's pregnant, for goodness sake. Like,
yeah,
at the end, you're tired, you're annoyed. I mean, everything
bothers you.
She's on stage and she's like she's been working up to the very point.
Every pregnancy is different, which we're gonna actually talk about that next time, sometime in one of our other episodes, how pregnancy is different and how it affects the body and stuff. But
I had girls, and I know with my pregnancy with a girl, I was just like annoyed. Like, I didn't want to be bothered. I mean, having a boy was different, but having girls, I mean, it just takes more. I don't know.
I was nice on one pregnancy and I was mean in the other pregnancy.
Yeah, so it depends on the pregnancy. And then
they're both boys, so.
Yeah. And then Khloe Kardashian introducing True through filter. Like, I didn't really care for that. I'm like, can I see the baby without the filter? Why do I have to see the baby with the filter? Yeah. I mean, it's like so annoying. Like, why are we doing this with our kids? Like, with the Kardashians, I'm so annoyed. Like, every time they introduce one of their children, it's like through a filter. Like, come on.
Yeah, I don't know why we're filtering them. They're so
cute. The baby doesn't.
Babies are little perfect little babies.
Yeah, and like
little angels.
They were like, the baby doesn't look like her. They were saying, and I don't know. So whatever. And then Tristan, her boyfriend, is like, oh, he felt pressured about cheating because he's an NBA star and being on an NBA team. There's the pressure of cheating. And then like some of the NBA players were like, really, like this is your way out of cheating. Like you're saying that you're pressure, like you don't have to cheat. It's like,
no, you don't have to cheat.
So don't
That's
say.
just an excuse.
Right. Okay. So this week, right. So we posted our episode last week and then we did our Instagram. Jazmyn put up a picture of a wine that she was,
obsessed with.
I'm
still obsessed with. And now I'm obsessed with that new rosé.
Okay, but wait. So it gets better. So Jazmyn's like, oh, we're on Instagram. She posted on Instagram and she's like, oh, we have Dr. Heavenly. She liked it. There was
said that. She called Christine actually.
There was like a couple of like Bravo stars that liked our like the post. So I was like excited. I was like, oh my goodness. I'm like on cloud 9, and then, Jazmyn.
I was like, wouldn't it be funny? Because Christine loves Bethany. I was like, it would be so funny if I tell her, oh my God, Bethany liked our Instagram post.
I should have known that it wasn't true because she's always
like, oh my God, Christine. Oh my God, Bethany liked our Instagram.
I was screaming. I was screaming. I was like, oh my goodness, I love her so much. I was about to cry, because I'm very dramatic.
Was, like, freaking out. And I was like, just kidding.
I was like, I'm going to hang up right now because I can't deal with you right now.
She's like, you're a B. You're a B.
Yeah, I did say that. I called her out of her name because I was like, you're really going to try me right now? Like, I love her. I adore her. And people like always give her a bad rap. I love her and Dorinda. Like, love them. And Kyle. Like, those are my top 3. But I love Dorinda. Like, but Bethany and Dorinda, they could go back and forth because it depends on their
week.
Like
a tie.
Yeah.
She'll freak out if Dorinda.
I would be on the floor. I was I would be crying.
So Dorinda, go like our post and Bethany too. I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I think
you're probably not even listening to this right now. You're probably like, whatever.
Yeah, but I do love them. Like, I think like they are so. I just love them. I don't know.
She's obsessed.
They're great. So I mean, there isn't any deals that I'm like super crazy about. On Mother's Day, while I was relaxing, and my oldest 2 were in the pool, they had on Old Navy 35% off. And the code was FAM. So I did go shopping for my Las Vegas trip.
Christine's always shopping.
Okay, I do shop every day. Yes.
Every day, yes.
She has
to at least buy one item a day.
But my husband doesn't help me. He's an enabler, okay? So let's make it, put it out there that I'm not the only one. So I'm going to, because we're on time right now, we're going to zip it through. So basically it was 35% off. And then, Old Navy also sent me another 20%. So not only did it was 50% off. So
all right. So sorry to cut you off. What was the item of the week for you?
I would say Old Navy, like just shopping on Old Navy on Mother's Day.
All right. So mine's was, I didn't buy it, but my husband did. It was the Pulse Rosé. I know I'm always talking about rosé and wine. I promise I'm not an alcoholic. I drink it once in a while, but I do like wine and I am a wino. So I guess that's it. Pulse wine, rosé, grapefruit, and go buy it at ABC.
And
I
that's
shouldn't
it.
be promoting them. Like, I should just have it off myself, but okay.
I know this episode was a more lengthy than the usual one, so thank you for listening, and please join us next week for another episode of Can I Get a Minute podcast, and thanks for joining us this week.
And check out our Instagram to see what we'll be talking
and
about
Facebook. I'm going to
week.
start posting more on Facebook, but thank you guys for everything and all the support.
All right, thank you. Stay tuned.